Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Built Different podcast. In studio with me, I have a longtime friend, Michael Hines. Mike and I have known each other since the beginning of my policing years. So I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Hey everyone, I'm Michael Hines. Like I said, friends with Colin since he's been on the department and longtime friend.
Mike, you have how many years on the department now?
I'll be about a decade, which is 10 years this October.
Working with a decade of experience, I know that's a long time in the city.
Yeah.
So you started out in the 6th, correct?
Yeah, I was 6th District Knights.
6th District Knights, and that's a rough one.
Oh yeah.
And so you were in the 6th District from what years?
I was in District 6 in general for the first 6 years of my career. So basically from 2015 to 2021, I was in District 6.
So I guess we can kind of start there. So early on, and there had to be something that kind of drove you to the cop that you are today, whether it be an FTO, a more senior officer. Let's talk a little bit about that.
So when I first started on the night watch, I graduated from the academy, like I said, in October of 2015. I was obviously the youngest one, but on night watch, it was kind of like at the time where it was like everyone went there after they got in trouble or everything else. I found out later that District 6 Nights is where they put most of those people.
Where you hide them.
Exactly.
And if you get in trouble on District 6 Night Watch, you go to District 2 Night Watch.
True. Luckily, I didn't get that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So I learned that there was my FTO. He did pretty good. He had about 20 years on. Reginald Moore. Obviously, he's retired now, but
I don't know if I've ever met him.
No, he showed me all the right ways. I know, based off of other people were treated as when they're field training. That I got pretty lucky with him. I shagged all the calls and did the accents and everything else, but he wouldn't make me do more than what I had to, because usually when people get out on field training, that you're the slack boy for everything. You'll get all the calls that no one wants. They'll have you take for training purposes is what they'll call it. But I learned early on, because I was 41 for the one time, which I recommend for most people when they come out, is to do stuff, because you'll learn what you can and can't do in particular.
Absolutely.
Like when it comes to like doing police work, traffic stops and stuff like that.
Absolutely. Mike, you have the, a lot of officers don't get experience it, but you also have the military background. You're in the National Guard. Something that I had that's near and dear to my heart. Let's talk a little bit about that, managing that balance between the military and police department.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was in the Army National Guard for 11 years as a military police officer, 31 Alpha. And definitely a lot of that training that the Army gave me, I utilized here for work with the city.
So, I guess, how, and I kind of already know the answer to this question, but for the viewers that don't know, it's kind of hard to balance, leaving for an annual training from the department or something like that, a bigger training event or a train up for something. So let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, the difficulties and stuff in managing all of that.
Yeah, particularly for my playing point was, because obviously I was an officer in the military, so I did a lot of the planning for like the drills and stuff like that. So in addition, for like those 2 days a month, I had to plan while I was at work, during work, and when I was on night watch, it was even more difficult, because not only was I working 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., then I started getting calls at 8 a.m. when people would start going to work in the military. So definitely trying to balance the two was difficult, because it was that part-time job was also a full-time job.
Yep.
And if you did get an arrest on night watch, it had to be applied for, because the attorney's office was closed at 5, so you couldn't wait till the next day to go to work to get it done. You'd have to go in, get the report, write all that, and then depending on what else, whatever calls from work and everything else, you'd have to deal with that in addition, trying to get the report approved.
Yep.
And everything else.
Let's jump back into the policing side. So this is kind of going to reflect on your FTO time probably and stuff. Some of the do's and don'ts that you learned early on.
Oh yes, yeah. There's plenty of do's and don'ts. It's obviously the do's, the big ones that come up, is handling your beat or handling your area. So every officer gets assigned a specific area that they work, if someone who calls 911 or an accident or something happens in that area, that's be the person. I learned early on that was the main priority. So obviously, as me, I was proactive as a younger officer, and when I was not doing car stops or everything else, if you make an arrest and someone has to handle your area, it's kind of twofold. So you have to make those arrests, come back, get back in service, still have to write the report, and then if something comes out in your area while you're still writing that arrest report, you have to come kick back in, take care of it. Then if you have to go back out of service, you do that. But one thing that the do's that I learned was you basically don't go out of service while you're doing the reports, and you just wait. If you get a radio assignment, then you go right back out, knock that out, and if you get another report in the process, you get another report in the process.
Now we're talking District 6.
This is District 6.
You go down south in the city. No offense to you guys. I know there's a lot of you that watch it, but you guys aren't as busy. So let's fast forward a little bit from your training and all of that. You're a seasoned officer now, which doesn't take that long in the city.
No.
3 years down the road, little Ledbetter comes along, little Josh Lose. I've been wanting to talk about this a little bit, but I remember, and we still knew each other. I had just come off of training.
Yeah.
I was riding with Leland for a little bit, Bonner. I was trained by Kelly Smith and just come off of training, used to working with Kerper and yourself.
I did.
Josh Lose comes on, right? He had just come freshly off of training as well. And he was stuck in the car with you that day. And I remember, I think he was like a day or two off of training. So he's brand spanking new. And you come up to me and you say, "Hey, Ledbetter, we're going to do some work today." And I'm like, "Okay, what kind of work does this entail?" And you're like, we're going to go to this block, this known drug block, and we're going to arrest some people. I said, "Okay." And I remember, I think I had called you earlier and noticed that there was a guy setting up on the perch selling drugs. And you said, "Okay, we're going to handle that." So we did. We ran up. We arrested the guy and got a bunch of guns, some drugs, and all of that. So I think that there was a Draco. There was a couple rifles, some pistols. There was a lot of,
and the pistol, I believe, was stolen.
Yep.
On top of that, we got a bunch of ammo out of that house and everything else. And that was, I think, what Lose's first or second day. I gave him a little pep talk, which was fortunate for our group that we were with, that we're all current or prior military at that time. So the language we were all speaking, we all knew what we were to say. So we all kind of did our little military formation to attack on an objective.
Yep. I remember we got the guy. He ran into a house. We got the guy. We got him in handcuffs. We sit back up. Of course, everyone in the house is upset, yelling, blah, blah, blah. We're trying to calm them down. And I remember hearing Josh's voice. He's like, "Hey, hey." And I come up to the front door. There's people pulling down the block. And I'm like, "Hey, we might need some more cars down here."
Yeah.
And I remember Sergeant Damon Willis coming up, and he's like, "What are you guys?"
That was definitely nice. I talked to him after that. I showed him after what we all got. He was like, "Man, you guys are crazy for doing all this stuff." But that's kind of how it was back then. We kind of you had your group. We were fortunate enough to have 3 or 4 people that were willing to do what we're willing to do.
We had each other's backs.
That's right.
No, it was definitely we had an amazing group. We worked hard and we lived for the job. And I think we took a lot of bad people off the streets.
100%.
A lot of bad people. I would not trade that time for anything.
Same.
So I guess my next question kind of relates to that. You have a busy day at work, you do all this stuff. What does your decompression time look like? Drive home, loud music. I've gotten all sorts of different answers, but people like to hear that. So
so for what I like to do personally is working out. Definitely either I try to get a workout before or after work. And if it's before work, it usually gets me relaxed enough to deal with the stuff at work, so it's not as stressful. So the decompression on the way back isn't as much.
Right.
But playing video games, I have to say, is my biggest thing that I would do. Obviously, if I have the boys with me, then we'll either go out to the soccer fields and play, or I take them to practice, or just doing family times, especially a hard day at work. I just want to be with the family.
I think that's definitely perfect. I've had a lot of guys say that they use, working out and stuff like that, and you get all sorts of different answers. Mine was when I moved back to Vandalia, I had an hour drive home, so obviously
I gave you some time.
there's your decompression time. But I think that's important for the public to hear, that it is required. Like, I can go home from my job now and if I wanted to pass right out.
Right.
There's not a an up and down adrenaline buzz all day, that you have to bring down. So I think that's important for the public to hear about. So we've kind of mentioned and hit on one story, but it was kind of mine. Let's name some of your favorite times on the job.
So some of the favorite times, we'll get to the story, but one of them is usually when we can go out of district and get something to eat.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if anyone's familiar, but District 6 is like the northern part of the city, and the best place you got to eat is the Love's Truck Stop.
Yeah.
So if any time we can get permission from our sergeant, we go down and try to eat. It's down the Central West End and everything else, so that's the best time to try to
Get some picklemans.
Get some picklemans, get something to eat so we can prepare for the shift at hand.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely one of the favorite times, maybe a little bit scary times, is when we were driving up north. I was riding with Kerper at the time, and we pass around, it's probably around the 8700 block of North Broadway, just to give a general reference of where we're at.
I know where this one's going.
And then all of a sudden, as we're just driving, mind our own business, well, we just hear several gunshots go off.
Yep.
We duck in our car, freak out, and over on the corner, we see someone laying on the ground and a dude running from it, running into a car.
Yep.
And we call out, like, hey, shots fired in the area. We've seen someone, in the area, see him down, possible assault that just occurred, maybe a homicide, and we see a guy jumping in this maroon Impala. And that's how that started. This was probably about 10 minutes into the shift.
Yeah.
Not prepared for really anything to think was, like what was going to happen for today.
We were still trying to figure out what area we were going to be in, if I remember right.
Yeah, usually we discuss, like, hey, because Baden in particular is very difficult to get to from where we're at. It takes about, even with lights and sirens, 10, 15 minutes depending on where you're at. And, that's a long time if you're in trouble. But yeah, so we saw that maroon thing, and ironically enough, the feds were doing undercover surveillance at that time. I guess there was some kind of drug buy or something like that was going on. Obviously, that went south. And then the car that we happened to see, one of the shooters gets in the car, takes off, and we pursue, and we're calling this out. So it's just like another day in District 6. On view assault first. This is one of the cars that when in the district you're allowed to chase. And we chased that, went straight into the county, took it all the way down to like 270, 170, all the way out there, I would say way past Clayton. But eventually it hits back on 64s. I think it loops back into the city.
Yeah, we ended up, I think, on 70. Came back through downtown, right?
Oh yeah, we went through the depressed section downtown to 55. We took all the way to 44.
Yep.
And we're going, like, luckily I think we had a newer top, but we're going over 120 miles per hour, just keeping up with this car. Yeah. It's not spiked. It's a brand new. It turns out to be a rental car that's stolen. We didn't know that at the time.
And at this point, when this happened, Josh and I were in the car behind you, kind of calling it out.
A little bit, yes.
Josh loses you guys.
Oh yeah.
Like, I think we lost you almost within 8 to 9 minutes.
Yes.
No, not even that. It was a lot faster than that because we lost you at 270, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
But you guys get down into the 44, and I think, I don't remember if they were getting ready to call it off, or I remember air support gets up over it, I think, and we were going to kind of back off and let it calm down a little bit, I think was what it was.
Yeah, so he took 44 to Southwest at the time, makes his way through a lot of municipalities like Manchester, over Hanley Road, eventually takes Hanley to 64. Then since it's so busy, like this is like during rush hour, I guess it was closer probably around 3 p.m. So everyone's either leaving or trying to get back into the city at the time, which actually worked in our favor because he couldn't, when he got off at Hanley, he couldn't go any other exit except get back on Big Bend.
Yep.
And then you go north, and ironically enough, I think that's when you rejoin the pursuit and you'd be right behind us.
Somehow Josh knew. I don't think he knew. I think he accidentally stumbled into you guys because he was like, I don't know what road I'm going to take. And then all of a sudden I'm like, there's the car. And then like 2 seconds later, there's you guys.
Thank
and he
goodness.
pulls right in behind you. And there was no cars within a mile, I think, of you guys at that point.
Yeah, so the pursuit goes for probably, I would say, about 40, 50 minutes. And I would say 20, 30 minutes of that, we were by ourselves. Like,
Yeah.
we look in the rear view, we see, there's some county cops blocking off traffic, but no one's with us. And
Yeah.
I know there's at least 2 people in the car, because the dude I saw got in the passenger seat, and it's
Yep.
all tinted out, so I'm like, man. It's
Not good.
Just Kerper and I, and we just saw this guy shoot someone.
I mean, yeah, exactly. You're not going to get any better of a case than that right there. You just watch the guy murder someone right in front of you. I mean, you have to get the car. They're out to do damage at that point.
Oh yeah, there was no go. Yeah, like I said, I don't think they were going to cancel it, but when air support came on, like the last 3 minutes of the pursuit, they threw spike strips in. We did get the vehicle spiked.
Yep, right there on, what road was that?
We were on, I don't know, I can't remember if it was either Page or it was one of the major.
It was a major thoroughfare, yeah.
And then eventually it crashed. I ended up getting the driver, and I think you and Kerper ended up trying to get the passenger. And I know there was a little mishap that occurred.
There was a
trying to
kerfuffle without throwing too many people under the bus. It was a county car.
Correct. It was not the same.
I was chasing the suspect. I was right in the front. I had just headed Kerper off, and county car comes flying up and hits the suspect. Who flies into me and messes up my knee. At the time, there was so much going on, I didn't know what happened. But I remember I got back up to come check on you. I think I ran over there. And then someone comes running up behind me and was like, dude, are you okay? I said, yeah, I'm fine. Why? And he's like, you just got hit by a car. I said, no. I said, I don't think I got hit by a car. I just fell down. They're like, no, you got hit. And I don't think we realized, I didn't play it all back, but we ended up watching my body camera back after a while, and I was hit by the suspect who was hit by the car.
Yeah, so you weren't hit by the car, but the flying suspect who did get hit by the car hit you.
But the funniest part about this whole thing, not that, an on-view murder or anything like this is funny, but you got to take the light out of something. I don't remember who it was. I don't know if it was a sergeant. I think it was like a Southside sergeant.
Probably.
Saw me get hit, puts it on the radio that there was an officer struck. They tossed me in an ambulance, and
I remember that.
My adrenaline's still pumped up, and I'm like, I'm all right. And they're like, no, you got to go to the hospital. You got to get checked out. They take me to the hospital, and the chief shows up.
Jeez.
And he comes to my room, and he said, "Are you all right, Ledbetter?" And I said, "Yes, sir, I'm all right." He goes, "Well, it came out over the radio that we had an officer struck, and they couldn't find vitals." And I said, "I don't know where you're getting that." I said, "I'm not even sure if I got hit. I'm pretty sure I fell." Well, come to find out I did, but I fell over the guy. Yeah. But I remember people calling me throughout the day. Charlie Wall called me, I think, and
I'm telling you, stuff like that's exactly because there were so many moving parts in that because we had obviously county was involved.
My gosh. Yeah.
We had homicide involved. FBI was involved. They were following in their unmarked vehicles, and then Lunley me. And Kerper, we had to write basically the whole report, in memo version, to the homicide detectives. So they were going to handle the case, but obviously everything up leading to that part was on us.
Yeah, and it was a long pursuit. Luckily, at that time, we had body cameras, dash cameras, which made things a little bit easier you could sit there and watch the video and watch everything play back.
Which is nice.
I remember, and I only experienced a little bit, but we didn't have body cameras before I went on my deployment. And, I remember the difference between having a body camera and you didn't even have to take notes half the time. You can just watch your body camera back, and I'm sure that's a lot of what a lot of officers do now.
Yeah.
Any other stories?
Let's see. I think that one, and then the big one I do want to tell is it's probably one of the scarier moments when I was working, and this was Kerper and I were riding together again. We were either just finishing probationary period or right at it. Either way, I think we were done, but it was we're a year and 1 day maybe. We get information that this guy is selling drugs on the side of this road on Broadway again. So all right, so you know what, we'll go and dress it. We're two young guys. We think we have it all figured out. Why not? We both have a year on. That's got to be plenty of experience. We come approach this guy. He's sitting in this Ford Explorer. I approach the passenger side. Kerper approaches the driver's side. And then as we're talking to the guy, he eventually rolls down the windows. He's talking. He's sitting laid back in his vehicle. And then as we're talking, we see narcotics in the center console, so we're trying to get him out. So I grab the weed from the center console. I put it on top of the car, which is a mistake, but we learned this later through the career. Well, Kerper tries to get him out. and he does not want to get out. It turns out he's a convicted felon. There's 2 guns in the car, a lot of drugs, like time to go away type drugs. Obviously, we didn't know this at the time, but he wasn't getting out. So eventually, the guy throws it in drive. Well, Kerper's holding on to him while he throws in drive. So Kerper hops in the vehicle while it's in drive, and the guy guns it. I move over to the driver's side to help because I'm like, oh, there's a resistance about to happen. He's going to need me at least to be a supervisor. Kerper's a big guy, so he can handle himself. I'm like, I'm there for moral support just in case. He jumps in the car with the police officer Kerper inside the car and puts in driving and guns it. And while Kerper's standing outside the vehicle, like on the foot floorboard, he's dangling, holding onto the guy, holding inside the car as this guy is swerving down the road on Broadway. I key up on the radio. My partner was just kidnapped, and I'm in pursuit of this vehicle. And you can imagine, District 6 nights when this happened, there's crickets, there's nothing going on, then you just hear me screaming on the radio when my partner was kidnapped, and we're chasing the vehicle that he's in.
I would like to know how many old guys throughout the city were cussing you guys out at that point. You just woke them up from their dead nap on night watch.
That's correct.
They're probably looking at the DSNs afterwards like, these young bucks think they could do whatever.
We do, and we thought, and we definitely learned a couple lessons. We did figure it out. So eventually, Kerper was able to put him in a sleeper hold, get him to sleep, rip him out of the car, all on his own. So we go about a mile down the road from where we started, get him out, get him detained. Officers are responding. They don't yell at us yet. Luckily, it's not until later.
Yeah.
But
report writing room.
Exactly. We get him in custody. We find all this drugs and gun. Our supervisor's like, man, what the heck happened? We're explaining this whole story like I just did. And eventually he's, all right, well, go write the report. And this thing was probably one of the longer reports we've had to write as a probationary officer.
Yeah.
So that was.
I always love hearing that story. I feel like, growing up with guys like you, Kerper, McCormick, Dittmar, Kelly Smith, obviously.
Right.
I owe so much to Kelly. Yeah. All of you guys that imprinted so much on me, and I think even I took a lot of that even in the day that I was shot. You guys had such a way of molding myself, Los.
Right.
You guys helped all of us grow up as cops, and I hope to see that continuing, that chain continuing, because I think it's of vital importance, not only in the 6th, but throughout the city, but mostly in the 6th. Having those guys that continuously go out there, they know how to work, crime scenes, how to work chaotic scenes when your partner gets kidnapped,
Oh, yeah.
And that experience is invaluable across the board. But I just wanted to throw that in there that I really appreciate you guys. I really do.
Thank you.
So, with some of the favorite times or the good stories, there's always bad stories. I'm sure you've got a few of those. Let's talk about those.
Yeah, like I said, one of the stories, I'll talk about this about myself, and I've already been in trouble for it, so everything has been cleared and everything else. So like I said, I was by myself, night watch, and I decided, it's my Friday. What's the best thing you can do is chase a car out in the county, and then it ends up eventually wrecking, and these guys run out with guns, and I'm all out there by myself and everything else. So once I there, it's like, what? It's my Friday. I'm not going to deal with this. And then that was probably the worst thing that I probably could have done.
Yeah, and I'm sure you dealt with it for years probably after. An internal affairs process really takes a lot out of you. Yeah. Any cop that's been through that for sure.
And obviously, wouldn't recommend it to any of the younger officers out there, but definitely just getting that experience, talking to internal affairs, being there. Because even if you do get in trouble, don't get in trouble. It's good to have that experience. So at times, like if you do get in a shoot, I know some people do, some people don't, but when they do, they're still going to talk to you and everything else. It's good to be in those situations so you can be prepared for how to talk, and especially under a stressful situation where either you're the suspect or you could be the offender at the time.
Right. I remember my first internal affairs investigation. You may or may not remember this. I was still pretty young. Got a call down to a firehouse on Natural Bridge.
I do.
And it was the cop that I was when I got shot would have figured out how to code that, because I knew I was sweating so bad when it was happening because I didn't know how to handle it and make it all go away. Yeah. But I wrote the report, what had happened was 2 firefighters had gotten into a fight in the basement of a house and they couldn't figure out how to solve it themselves. So the commanders got involved.
Ooh, big mistake.
And it snowballed from there. But little Pro B Colin had to show up, and all the veteran officers, of course, were like, "We'll assist you,
Right.
but this is your area, and you're riding it." And it came back to bite me about 6-7 months later because people wanted to change their stories, and internal affairs came down, and
Yeah, when it comes especially with firefighters, anyone's even writing reports, unfortunately, against other police officers, it's very difficult. And I don't know if there was body cam at the time for this
there was
one.
not. So
and that makes it difficult.
it was a he said, she said, and I ended up actually eating a day for it because we didn't have our regular sergeant at the time.
No, you did not.
And the regular sergeant that was manning that day wouldn't back me on anything.
And that's unfortunate.
But I don't know if I ever told you this, but have you submitted paperwork for the military for like an extended leave or something like that?
Yes.
So when I went on my deployment, they saw my paperwork coming through, and internal affairs said, "Hey, you were going to give you a day for that incident that happened 3 years ago."
Right.
And I said, "Oh, okay, cool. Let me pull my paperwork back." So I pulled all of my military paperwork back. I think it was, I don't remember if it was Damon at the time that I had as a sergeant or who it was at the time.
Yeah, I can't remember.
But they helped me retract it. I submitted 2 separate military leave paperwork, and I took my suspension day in the middle of my military leave. So I was in the middle of the desert, and I took a suspension day from the department.
That's the best thing. And unfortunately, because like I said, I do like with the drill weekends, we're requesting all the military paperwork, and they're usually pretty precise when it comes to that military paperwork. Because unfortunately, officers before us would use that as an advantage and use their military when they weren't on military, just either have paid days off or everything else. So unfortunately, they're very nitpicky. But that also works in us because they know if you're not trying to scam the system, you got nothing to worry about.
Absolutely. Wrapping up, and let's retract a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about your time in mobile, if you want to share. I think mobile is kind of, some guys don't like it, some guys do on the department. I think mobile is a great added piece to the department. It has been since it started. Let's kind of talk a little bit about what you guys do. I know a lot of it is directed patrol kind of, right? You guys still kind of target the heavy areas.
Yeah, so one of the big things for mobile, we patrol in the high crime areas, and we go after violent offenders. So that can be assault first, robbery first, suspects, drug dealers, murderers. It's basically the whole genre of anyone like Part 1 crimes in whatever areas. And we'll either be directed by the captains from whatever district that are having hitters, like they're getting hit with a lot of assault first in a certain area, we'll go down there. But I've been trying to do mobile, like I said, since I was about 3 or 4 years on the department. They recreated mobile because mobile was part of SWAT back in the day.
It's been disbanded, rebanded, all this stuff a couple times.
Yeah, disbanded, renamed, re-added, like ARU or whatever it might have been beforehand. But with mobile, like I said, the first time it came out, I didn't have enough time because I think you had at least a minimum, either 5 years on before you could do it. And then by the second time they put it out, I applied, didn't get the spot. But that time after that, I applied, and luckily I was fortunate enough to get it. So it was right, like I said, it took me about 3-4 years to get onto mobile from trying. And since then, like I said, we're one of the few units, one of the few marked units we can do something called tactical pursuit. And that basically just gives us the ability to deploy spike strips and engage in pursuits that may not be a Part 1 crime. So like for, like felony fleeing, we're able to spike or set up. If a car is already wanted for something, we're able to pre-set up, spike beforehand, and give us that leeway that, the most district officers unfortunately won't get the opportunity to do chases. Because when we were on District 6, B platoon days, it seemed like there was a murder first car, assault first cars. It seemed like we had plenty to chase back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I've been in the district for about 4 years now. I've been in mobile about 4. And it seems like it's a little less out there. We're not really seeing too many vehicle pursuits. Maybe, a couple every so often versus we had like 3 or 4 a week. Yeah. Now it's like 3 or 4, maybe a month, every month or 2.
Yeah.
So, but that's kind of how the thing is. We have a good group of guys up in mobile. They're a little bit on the younger side, but guess what? They're all willing to learn. And, you kind of need that for mobile because some of the older officers, not all of them, are done with the car chases, resisting, tasing, jumping fences. And
It's hard.
It's hard, and as you're getting older, your body just don't want you to do the things that you need to do.
No.
So, I think it's kind of a younger person unit in general where, you're able to be more flexible and
I
do
feel
all
like
that
it's a
stuff.
great unit to learn.
Definitely. I think it's good to have the experience before you get there, but the way the department now is doing it is they're letting you do overtime with these specialized units. So,
I have heard that, yeah.
So they may not be doing transfers. I think that's kind of blocked until we can get the number of officers back up to, I guess, whatever a normal amount would be, which I have no idea what that would be like. But so they're letting a lot of the District 6, we have District 3, we have District 1, we have throughout the district, we have people who can do overtime with us. And it gives them that opportunity, on their day off to come in and work with us, see how it is, and see if that's what they want to do. Because for me, obviously, I was fortunate enough to do like a summer internship with mobile. We got picked one from each district, was able to go and spend 3 months detached with the unit. So, and like I said, from that detachment, I knew that's the place I wanted to go.
That's the place. Yeah. Yeah, and you kind of hit on it a little bit, but it's really unfortunate that the transfers have been suspended.
Yes.
I know that, and then you probably don't see it as much, but it's got to be so hard on these officers. I remember back in the day, I'm not saying the only reason we did police work was to go to one of these units.
We definitely did not.
But it was an added bonus.
It was definitely a thing.
And you could always keep in the back of your mind, like, hey, I'm going to apply for this. I can use these reports to line up for this. I remember whenever I first decided I was going to apply for DEI, I remember thinking, okay, what reports do I have in my arsenal that I can bring down to this? That now I feel like is kind of gone. It was helping police officers not only be good cops and mind their P's and Q's, but it was also helping them become better report writers. They were writing reports to mirror the unit that they wanted to go down to.
Yeah.
And I think it was kind of a drive incentive for the department.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what you were saying. And just a caveat onto that is just when you stay proactive like that, you learn, let's say, like case law, so you know what you can do, so you become more confident officer. So, hey, if you're doing these drug arrests, you're doing these drug investigations, you'll be able to, one day go to that unit where you can solely focus and put your time and effort that you want to put into that unit and become a good detective.
Yeah.
But the good thing is, in addition, just make you a better, well-rounded officer. Is not only while you're doing these drug investigations as a patrolman, you're answering the radio, you're doing all this, you're still learning your area. So when you do go to those units, you can go, as a detective into certain areas and know either people by name or know the area to look for if you're looking for that type of incident.
No, I mean, that's perfect. And I think that kind of fills in my next question, but I'm going to go ahead and ask it anyways. If there's a younger officer watching this right now, what would you say to them?
If there was younger officers watching, I would tell them to keep focusing, keep doing what they're doing, and if anything, because when we did it, when we were in a platoon, when we were younger officers, we wouldn't say we do it for the thrill or the excitement, but just making yourself better. Like if you're a police officer, you want to be the best police officer you can be. Learn your job. Because one of the things we did as younger officers, we didn't always have, at least when I started, we didn't always have that 10, 15-year officer, had been in all these units kind of guiding us through what we need to learn, how you need to write these reports.
Yeah.
We had to figure this stuff out on our own. And I think there's plus or minuses with that, but I think it's good that for those who want to learn, you can learn your job, do your thing, and when the time comes for that unit opening, when it does, you be the best self you can. And you don't have to rely on a report from 6 years ago to prove your point today, because you're going to have officers that are making arrests today, tomorrow, and everything else that are going to be, better prepared.
Absolutely. Mike, thanks for coming on.
Of course. Thank you for having me.